random conversation, the random stranger, the random yes. And in doing so, we miss out on the flight that changes everything. So even though we've discussed the power of no and saying no and focusing, etc., I got to come back full circle to little Corey, baby Corey, where just being brought up to say yes to everything has got to be the way to approach life. I have to believe that.
Well, and I think, like I said, I also think it comes back to perspective, meaning like for Corey, it's not like I pushed yes out of my life. In fact, am going for yes every day. And I would say, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So I'm constantly pushing for yes. And I constantly say yes to the things I think are the right things. It's just, for me, I just had to start realizing I couldn't do it all. Like I couldn't do 1,000 things. So I had to at least start being a bit more indiscriminate about what an actual yes or no is. One of the things I want to do, and I haven't tried this yet, Joseph, but I'm thinking of doing it, is a month of no's. So like Shonda, I think her name's Shonda Rhimes, but she's a TV producer, and she did the book A Year of Yes or something like that. So I thought I want to try the opposite, try a month of no's. But I don't know how that'll play out if you say no to absolutely everything, because probably lose some friendships in the process, turn down opportunities that might be great. But I like the idea of trying it. So that might be next time we talk, I might be telling you what my experience was in doing a month of no's.
You can give up yes for Lent or something like that. I don't know. This has been great. I love how we've swum like water through various iterations and versions of it, because in some cases, of course, a no is when you say yes, you're saying no to something. When you say no, you're saying yes to something else, opening yourself up to the universe, swimming into and out of the secret and manifestation, but ultimately finding what works for you in life, getting to that better place, that better outcome, opening yourself up to possibility, to wonder, to awe, to being able to move the chains. That is, I don't know if that's the definition of synchronicity, but it certainly is, to me, the definition of being enlightened. Letting more light into your life, becoming smarter, wiser, and even with all the battle scars and the mistakes made, I feel like we've come full circle. But Corey, the last word, my friend, has to be yours. This is a new thing that I'm starting, which is, what is the question I didn't ask you? What's the one thing that you still want to share with people about the book, about life, about this conversation?
Well, I'll tell you the question. And I also, at the same time, will say, in fairness, you couldn't have known to ask this question, perhaps. But, and I will say, too, it's, as you said, it's on the screen. So if people want to check out thisisthebook.com, one of the things I didn't mention is it actually comes with 5 bonuses. So there's 5 instant bonuses you get immediately. One is actually a TEDx masterclass, a pre-recorded masterclass we did. We've had over 100 clients that have done TEDx talks. So a lot of people still want to do them. And so that's something that comes with it. And you get to attend some of our live events. So I wanted to add that in because that's all at thisisthebook.com. And you still get to buy it off your favorite retailer. But the one thing that I guess I would love to share is in the book, I named a chapter The Mayfly. Now, I'm going to be very clear, Joseph. I didn't know really what the Mayfly was. I knew the name, and that's as far as I knew. I knew what it was a thing, but I didn't know anything about it until an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond came on while I was rewriting the book. And Robert, the older brother, I think he's older. I don't even know if he's older or younger. I think he's older. Either way, Robert, it must be, because I think she always says my baby Raymond. But either way, Robert said something about the Mayfly and how it only lived a short amount of time. So I dug in my heels to start doing some research because I was interested in that. And it turns out the Mayfly, the male Mayfly, lives less than 24 hours. Side note, which is not part of the story, but the female Mayfly only lives 3 to 5 minutes. So her whole life is just to give birth to other Mayflies. But the male Mayfly, I thought 3 to 5 minutes doesn't help my cause for what I want to share. So I named a chapter The Mayfly. And then Treb, the older passenger, says to Robert, if you were the Mayfly and you only had 24 hours to live, what would you do during those 24 hours? And the exercise here is to write down, how would you live your day? What's what I call an ideal or a perfect day for you? And so Treb gets Robert to go through all the stuff he'd do. And then after he said, well, Robert, let me ask you a follow-up question. Why aren't you doing those things now? And I think it's a powerful reflection point of first of all, why don't we figure out what an ideal day is to us, write it down and start trying to live that way. But B, ask yourself, if this is all the time you had, what would you do? And why don't you do that more often? And so again, I think that's what we can learn from the Mayfly is during that 24 hours, it does only that which is its purpose. Now, its purpose might not be as grandiose or sexy as we'd like it to be, but it does that, its purpose, and then it dies. And so it just goes to that question of why don't we try to live on purpose with each 24 hours we have? And so, again, the question out of that, because you said, what's the question you didn't ask? It would be, why would you name a chapter the Mayfly? Like, why would you name a chapter after a fly and give that much attention to a fly? That's the reason.
Well, actually, I happen to know that the Mayfly was the ship that the Pilgrims came to the New World on. So wait a second, that might have been a different Mayfly. That is the question I didn't need to ask because you ended up asking it and answering it. I love the story. It is very, very close. You talk about synchronicity, journals, etc., to Forever Changed. In the book, I say there's a little blurb and it says, as I lay me down to sleep, I say, ask yourself these 5 questions. Number 1, did I show up for myself today? Number 2, did I show up for others today? Number 3, if today was the last day of my life, would it have been worthwhile? Number 4, if today was the only day of my life, would it have been worthwhile? And finally, if today was the best day of my life, would it have been worthwhile? And if the answer is no to any of those 5, go ahead and just change it and try again the next day, because that's the beauty of waking up every morning. Gives us another opportunity, not only to get it right, but more importantly, to go and buy and read The Enlightened Passenger. Corey, good luck with the book. It is a great approach, content, context, the works. And I'm going to go ahead and write in my journal as soon as we're done taping. And you know who else is going to be doing it as well? Not Bruce Lee, but actually Chuck Norris.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
He may have been actually the person in the photo that I put your head on. Take care, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show, and if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.